Chicharito, you're our only hope.
I actually think Yona's our only hope.
Dub the what's her name? Carrie Fisher's
I got
character.
Princess Leia.
You dub the Princess Leia cut right here and just replace it. Chicharito.
Absolutely not. Thank you for downloading and listening to the West Box Score. We take a look at sports on the west side of the country, inside and outside of the box score. Here to do that with me is my co-host, my co-pilot, my co-captain, the Hideo Nomo, to my Mike Piazza, Donald Paz. What's up, Donald?
Yo, what up, Alex? How you been, man?
I've been good, man. Just looking forward to talking to you about my favorite TV shows this week. You know, Disney's The NBA Bubble, Rob Manfred's incredible, disgraceful Houston Astros versus Major League Baseball, and then there's a beautiful game of football. But before we bring on our compadre de Deportes, I gotta take a quick moment to ask you to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, at WestBoxScore, and also subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast downloaded. So now, from the Fox Crate Podcast, the Vinyl King himself, Sonny Hermano. What's up, Sonny?
What's up, senor? Mi gente, how you guys doing?
Fantastic, man.
Nice. Happy to be back, man.
Always glad to have you here, man, and talk deportes contigo, ya sabes.
Yep.
So we're about 3 weeks into this COVID-shortened MLB season. The Dodgers were favorites going into it. They have a solid 11-6 record as of Tuesday when we're recording this. But Donald, why are they not undefeated like I was expecting them to be?
It seems like this team just, it feels for as much as they're the heavy favorites to win it in the NL West, or in the NL West, but the NL in general, like, it just feels like they keep getting in their own way. And everyone keeps talking about how stacked they are, but I don't get like why they just can't close out certain games. For example, the Padres, like they should be able to take out the Padres easily, and yet they're not. And I mean, it's just really tough to say what's going on with the certain slumps that they have. Maybe they're doing that thing where you're too good, so you think you're taking the week off or whatever. You're taking the series off, kind of similar to
it in, right?
Yeah, like the way the people are viewing the Suns right now in the NBA bubble. So it's just, I think this is what this team's doing, and the fact that it's a regional thing, it shouldn't be hard. It's not like you're traveling.
What I've been disappointed by is what they've always had issues with is their bullpen, giving up only 2 games so far. But also against the Padres yesterday, Monday night, they were 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, which you always have to cash in those runners on the bases there. Like that's step 1 of a winning formula to a baseball team. So it's early still, 3 weeks in, but that's the thing with this short season. You don't have enough time to get out of a slump. And I don't know why Sonny Hermano's playing the violin for me here.
Because these are third world problems here, right? Is that what you guys are talking about? I mean, you guys are still half a game out of first place as the time of this taping.
We'll get to you in a moment.
You're in contention for still one of the top 3 records of all of baseball. And you guys are making it seem like the Dodgers are on the cusp of like being second to last.
Right? This is the worst thing ever.
Jesus Christ. Can we?
I'm telling you, the fact that they've lost 6 games is like, what the heck are you guys doing over there? What's the problem, guys? Get it in gear. So when you're listening to this episode, the Dodgers are about to be kicking off the baseball tráfico against the Angels.
Oh,
Donald,
God.
What? You don't like that? Is that not what that's not what it's called?
That's not what it's called.
It's called the baseball tráfico.
It's called the Freeway Series.
Oh, you like that name? But did the LAFC marketing approve that one?
No,
okay.
No, they did not.
How about the Angels market? Well, the Angels don't really have marketing. Anyway, Donald.
Don't you speak shame on the rally monkey like that. How dare you speak shame on
That's right. Respect to the rally monkey and that great marketing campaign by the Angels. Donald, who are some of the Angels players that we should keep an eye on as Dodger fans?
I mean, they're definitely their hitting is pretty impressive. I mean, you got Shohei Ohtani as your designated hitter. You got Mike Trout, of course, like probably I would say maybe the second most famous player behind Harper in terms of like just MLB popularity. Like people know him, but they don't know the Angels. You got Anthony Rendon, you got Albert Pujols. So definitely the hitting is really the more scary part of this team. But I wouldn't say the pitching is there, but I would hope that the Dodgers and make it at least interesting and don't slump on this one.
Sonny, you've scouted the Angels.
Yo, man, I was ducking because those were like shots fired over there. Subtle shots by Donald, kind of undressing this little known guy known as Mike Trout as like the second most known player in baseball. That's kind of underselling that dude, man. That's
right.
That guy's on a tear right now. Ever since he became a dad, I think he's hit like 6 home runs. Yeah. He's hit 6 home runs. Yeah. He's had like 15 RBIs. He scored like 10 or 12 runs. He's single-handedly, which you're not supposed to do in this sport as an offensive player, single-handedly keeping the Angels in the thick of things. They're still in last place, but they're really only like 3 games out of second place. So
yeah. Yeah, I think for the future, it's definitely good, because then now the franchise knows they just got to focus on getting better pitchers. You got the hitting taken care of, so that's a good sign.
The same way the Dodgers' Achilles heel has for many years now been, like you said, Alex, the bullpen. The Achilles heel for the Angels has been their starting rotation. They just don't have one, a solid one. And until both teams address those specific needs, I don't think anything will change. For either franchise, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. So after this weekend series in Anaheim, the Dodgers are going to host a team from Seattle called the Mariners for 2 games and then travel up to said city in Seattle. Sonny, do you think your guys can take 3 of 4 from the Dodgers? And how much are we going to bet on that?
Do I think they can take 3 of 4 from the Dodgers? Yes, of course they can take 3 of 4 from the Dodgers. Do I think they will take 3 of 4 from the Dodgers is a different question.
Oh, I see. But ever optimist. I admire that. That's nice.
Hey, I've hung out enough with Galaxy fans to stay delusional and optimistic about my team's chances.
We like to refer to it as eternal hope.
No, I mean, in seriousness, I think splitting that series would be great for us.
Right.
If we could take 2 out of 4, whether it be, 1 home, 1 away, or, take both at home and drop 2 away, fine. But, it's hard to say, man, with this COVID season. I mean, Walker Buehler, again, he kind of still hasn't looked like Walker Buehler yet. So I haven't seen what the potential rotation is going to look like when we face you guys. So it's hard to say, man. I mean, obviously, you guys should be taking 3 or 4 from us if you guys handle your business. But I'm down to bet whatever you want to lose, man. That's okay. I think I'm playing with house money from our Galaxy LAFC.
That is true, and that's going to get started up again soon. And that one you'll win that one back.
So you tell me, Alex, what do you want to bet for this?
I think we always make a nice gentleman's bet of a nice bottle, maybe a nice small pint bottle, like of some nice whiskey. That's always a good gentleman's bet to wager on our favorite teams. That's always nice.
So whoever wins the series gets the bottle, correct?
Correct. So
if they split it, it's a wash. If they split it, it's a wash.
Correct.
Okay. It just means we both have to buy the bottle and share.
That means we buy our respective bottles and drink at home and socially distance, safe at home.
I like it. Lock it in. Lock it in.
It's my shoe-in of the week. The Dodgers are going to take definitely 4 of 4, by the way.
Oh.
Just so you know. Yes. They're taking all 4. I hope.
That seems like a separate bet.
That's going to be the parlay teaser.
Yes, exactly.
So before we move on and we wrap up our baseball talk here, we got to talk about the true heels of baseball, the Houston Astros. Oakland A's from the peanut gallery, the booze there. Oakland A's outfielder Ramon Laureano went after Astros hitting coach Alex Cintron, and Laureano got suspended for 6 games. The hitting coach from Houston was suspended for 20 games, which is deservingly so. He's the one who egged them on. And then Joe Kelly also got suspended for 8 more games because of this. So does this seem like a fair suspension, Donald?
As a Dodger fan, yes. I feel like they should all be suspended. I mean, I just feel very, merciless towards the Astros right now. So anything they can get is amazing to see. And Yeah, I feel good about that. But I do get that, obviously, it doesn't feel fair, too, because 20 games is like a third of the season if we were to talk about a 60-game season. So, I mean, I guess the other side of me thinks he should appeal and maybe bring it down to like 10 games or something. That would be fair, I guess. But the Dodger fan in me is super happy that, they just laid down the law on him.
Correct. And I feel 20 games is almost a slap on the wrist in this sense because, pandemic mode, socially distanced, you have to. And this hitting coach, Cintron, egged him on. Told him, come on, let's go. Like,
No,
what are you doing? That's not helpful to anybody. And of course, he takes the bait, but you got to suspend him 20 games. That's perfectly fine. I wouldn't be... Why not the rest of the season in that case? Is that too harsh? Would that have been too harsh, Sonny? What do you think?
No, I think you're spot on, man. As a bench coach, you shouldn't be egging on the other team or any players, really. Right. It's just not a precedent that you want to set if you're the league, and you gotta discipline them right away. And we can't have this. So if they went as far as to say, we're suspending you this shortened season, or even if they said half of this shortened season, or again, like to Donald's point, they suspended him the whole season, but they appealed and they got it down to maybe 3/4 or half. That's what I think would be accepted by most people, at least fans, that is, because you just can't have that. You can't have a bench coach egging on, especially with the Astros reputation being what it is right now.
Yeah.
You can't, because if you're constantly if you're coming down light on them, it's like, okay, it was bad enough you didn't punish them harshly enough for the crimes they committed on the field, and now you're taking it lightly on them off the field too. Technically, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it'd be nice if the Astros organization put out a statement saying, hey, we don't condone what happened, and we do understand it's a sensitive season for us, and we're gonna kind of talk to this guy or whatever. And just,
are you sure Bregman didn't already address it? The commissioner is filing his report, and he's filing his report, and he's filing his report. So it seems like that's what they would say.
I feel like that was a spot on Bregman impersonation. I felt like we had our first athletic guest on the first professional athlete here on West Box Score. So we're done with baseball. We got to move on now to our favorite TV show, Disney's The NBA Bubble. Big coups got the Lakers back in the win column on Monday. The Lakers had dropped 3 straight after clinching the top seed. So as of Tuesday, Donald, who are the Lakers slated to play in the first round of the playoffs?
As of right now, the Grizzlies are the ones currently in the number 8 spot. Right behind them is the Portland Trail Blazers, who are looking really, really impressive with their center Nurkic back. He's definitely helped out in making that team look good. I know a lot of people, I see a lot of things on Twitter, people kind of scared if the Lakers had to play the Trailblazers in the first round because of how good the Trailblazers shooting is and just what Nurkic brings to that low post. But I kind of welcome that challenge, and I would love to see like a cool little all-star game going on within Anthony Davis, LeBron James, CJ McCollum, and Damian Lillard. And then Carmelo Anthony, he's just like fun seeing him there, even though it's kind of a weird thing seeing him not be like that ace, but he's definitely accepted himself as a role player there, and I think it's cool. But I do get that it can be kind of scary given that the Lakers shooting is not what Portland shooting is, so that's the scary part right there.
Sonny, who are you hoping the Lakers play in the first round?
Well, I'm telling you who I'm hoping they don't play in the first round, and that's the Portland Trail Blazers. Like, I do not welcome that matchup. Please, somebody, anybody, keep the Blazers out of this playoff bubble. They're just too dangerous for a first round matchup, like for all the reasons Donald just listed. Dame Lillard is money. He's clutch. He's vicious. He goes for blood. In this COVID non-home court advantage bubble, it really wouldn't surprise me if somehow the Blazers were to upset the Lakers in a first round because of it. So no thanks to the Blazers. Other than that, I mean, whether it be Memphis, San Antonio, or Phoenix, those would be much more desirable matchups. Obviously, the Memphis one is cool just because I like John Morant. That kid's nice. I'd like to see what he does in the playoffs. Obviously, he needs more help, but it'd be fun to see him get some shine in the playoffs in games that really matter like that, to see how he steps up maybe his game. But yeah, not the Blazers, man. Please, not the Blazers.
With it being a 7-game series, do you feel like the Lakers still have an advantage even against Portland because it's a full 7-game series and not a best of 5?
Yeah, it's a slight advantage, sure. I do give the Lakers the slight advantage, but not what you would normally give a 1 versus an 8. So that's why I'd rather play somebody else. It's just you don't know what to expect with this with this COVID season, man. Like, some teams have looked crazy good that shouldn't be looking this good, and other teams have looked like out of whack, out of sync. And so I feel like the playoffs this year are going to be very fascinating to watch, because I think there's going to be a few upsets early in the rounds.
You guys have been watching a lot of other teams besides the Lakers in this NBA bubble. So who is somebody that could be a real sleeper pick here to do damage besides somebody like Portland? Besides Portland, it's just that's your kind of sleeper pick to surprise some people.
I mean, on the West or just overall?
Just overall.
I would say Miami is a team that has sleeper capability, that can just kind of sneak into the finals, and then once you face them in the finals, who knows what they might do or what they bring. Mm-hmm. I mean, Houston and the Clippers aren't really sleeper teams. Yeah, Miami's an interesting sleeper team that I would kind of pick of all the teams that would make it.
Looking at the teams like 1 through 8 on the East, Bucks, Raptors, Celtics, Heat, Pacers, 76ers, Nets, Magic. Yeah, Miami is the one that you kind of are like, and they look like fun to watch on the East compared to the other teams. So yeah, like when you said Miami, I was thinking Miami too, because I feel like the Pacers not really. 76ers are not gonna go anywhere. It feels like they're kind of mentally out right now. They're currently losing to the Suns, 130 to 117 at the time of this recording. There's only 27 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So now the Suns are going to go 6-0. They haven't lost a game in the bubble. And we're seeing the 76ers, who are actually 6th in the East, meaning they're in the playoffs, losing to a team that's fighting to get in the playoffs that actually, like, believe 3 games behind the 8th seed. So it's like, that just tells you where the 76ers are at. And Ben Simmons being out is a big factor of that. But I think, Miami, I think probably might be what Portland is to the West for the East. Being that scary team that has that crazy good roster that they just know how to play together. And it works, and it feels like it was right. I know Jimmy Butler left the Sixers to go Miami, and it seemed like kind of a weird move, but now it makes a lot of sense given how good the Miami Heat look. So it's really crazy. But yeah, they definitely got a pretty good team there, well coached, really good roster. Just a team that looks like it's having fun doing what they're doing this season.
Playoffs starting next week, so be sure to check that out. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to get started with the MLS is back again season, and the Galaxy have to win a game. They haven't won a game in what feels like 5 years now. And they have to play LAFC twice, Sonny. I'm sure you're going to be excited for that. I'm sure you see that as 6 easy points for LAFC.
I see it as 6 points. I won't say easy, but I do see it as 6 points.
So
minimum 4.
Minimum 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So the LA Galaxy are scheduled to play LAFC, Seattle Seattle at home, San Jose at home. They go to Portland, and they go to San Jose, and then they host LAFC at home and on the road game. LAFC, on the other hand, have to go to Real Salt Lake, which I find interesting that LAFC is going to Real Salt Lake and going to Seattle, and of course going over to Carson only. That's as far as they travel.
Yeah, that's a far drive, man, from LA.
Well, it's in the same LA county. I don't know if you're aware of that. So, Donald, I have to pose a question to you. Is there a way that the Galaxy could come away with points in these 6 games?
I don't know. It's definitely a huge uphill battle for the Galaxy, you know? I mean, seeing those games from the MLS's back tournament, they just don't look like they're clicking. Like they're not on the same page, you know? And it feels like I don't know what I'm going to get out of this team. And I'm hoping the Jonathan Dos Santos addition, if he's back, which I kind of don't like that MLS doesn't force injury reports on their teams, because that definitely helps out a lot just to kind of have an idea of what to expect. But it's terrible they don't do that. But I feel like if he does come back, obviously I feel a lot better about in the midfield that at least there's someone there that can manage that. And then the only thing is the defense. The defense just, I don't know what I'm going to get out of that defense. I don't expect much out of it, really. So it's just a matter of, can we outscore the other team? Because we definitely probably not going to get any sort of saves or clean sheets. But I mean, if we were to at least get like I would say maybe one win and like 2 draws, that'd be pretty good. You know, if the draws are 0-0, you know, because I feel like that's the only thing I can see happen. But yeah, I feel like after the MLS's back tournament, I lost all hope for like any Chicharito hat tricks or anything like that to happen. So yeah, I just think of Jim.
I think of Jim Mora and the press conference where he would say playoffs. I want to say hat trick.
Hey, he scored 1 goal.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So we'll go to the other side of this. Sonny, how excited are you to be playing the Galaxy twice and then not be really tested in another match against Real Salt Lake, but then have to face Portland and Seattle and then resurging San Jose Quakes team?
I'm mildly excited right now. I think because it's 2 weeks away, I'm still not there yet. You know, I'm just kind of like, okay, let's see who actually shows up healthy. You know, game time, and who shows up, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, like I said, I'm excited. Yes, that the first game back is against the Galaxy, and it's going to be at what's still known as the Bank, I think, and that should be. It's again whether the Galaxy stink it up or not. That game is always entertaining because the Galaxy still bring it. You know, even if maybe they don't sustain it, that's different. But to start, it's always an entertaining game. You know, but yeah, we'll see, man. I'm mildly excited, is what I'll say at the moment.
We have to be excited because we finally may get to see the Chicharito versus Carlos Vela matchup, which is always going to be exciting, even though the Galaxy may not have much to play for, especially if they lose 4 of these 6 games, which this team is not finding a way to score goals even, which is their only hope to win games. So it's more than likely that they'll lose 4 or 5, maybe.
Chicharito, you're our only hope.
I actually think Yona's our only hope.
Dub the what's her name? Carrie Fisher's
I got
character.
Princess Leia.
You dub the Princess Leia cut right here and just replace it. Chicharito.
Absolutely not.
And what makes it tough is that, you know, the teams that we're playing, I know both teams are playing the same teams, Portland, Seattle, the regional teams, outside of the Earthquake and Real Salt Lake. The other 2, including for the LA Galaxy, including LAFC, are the teams that actually went and made it to the knockout rounds of the tournament.
Right. Which
tells you like how strong they really are. And
teams that are playing well, not just good teams, but teams that are actually playing well at the moment. And the Galaxy are in last, not clicking. Yeah.
And Portland made it to the final of the MLS's back tournament. So it says a lot of how big of an uphill it is for the Galaxy. And I think for LAFC, it's just more like just how much more polished can they get and kind of, you know, just continue dominating the way they've been dominating and see if maybe they can make that run in the playoffs. So that's really more for that. But for the Galaxy, I think it's just more of a lot of analysis and figuring out what this means for the future of the franchise.
All right, so enough of the United States MLS football talk, because it's a bleak conversation for us Galaxy fans, but a more hopeful conversation for Sonny and his LAFC fans. But the beautiful game continues on the other side of the pond with the Champions League. And we were in a group chat enjoying that match.
The champions!
That's where I'll drop in the audio.
You gotta play that song, yeah.
I hope UEFA doesn't sue us. But we were group chatting while enjoying the match between Barca and Napoli. Like, how great did Barca fight the look in that match?
Yeah.
Sonny, what is your takeaway from that?
They looked good. They looked good. They didn't look great.
Mm-hmm.
There were some moments there that, I mean, Napoli could have scored in the first 3 minutes. And then there were still plenty of chances for them even after. So again, the Achilles heel for Barcelona is their defense. Props to Lenglet, who had a hell of a game, but it's been kind of uncharacteristic of him for the season to have that kind of a game. He's been too inconsistent. So I'm hoping if that guy shows up in the next round, which I'm sure we'll get to right now, we'll see. I like our chances, but they look good. They look solid. I mean, it was good just to see Messi scoring, and although Griezmann did not score, I actually thought he was productive. You know, very workman-like game. So all in all, there was more positives than negatives. Except I'm not feeling too confident going into the next round. But we'll get into that.
We'll get to that later. Donna, what was your takeaway from this match?
For me, I kind of saw it like within the first 10 minutes, outside of just Napoli almost looking like they were about to score. I thought this team looked a lot different than what they were looking like towards the end of the La Liga season. It just felt weird seeing them teeter down in during the La Liga season, especially when they were like neck and neck with Madrid for the title, and then they kind of just let their foot off the gas, and then seeing them go against Napoli, like a different squad, which is kind of like what you expect them to look like, is to play good, to be able to like win and to just kind of like just dominate, and that's what they did. And I don't know if it was just a matchup, it worked out in their favor, or if it was just the fact that, yes, they lost the La Liga title, and I would think there'd be some motivation knowing that like Real Madrid was bounced the day before, that made you feel like, okay, we're now the Spanish team in this thing that can kind of pull forward, and they had the opportunity and they saw it. I did see on Instagram, I believe it was Alex, I think you're the one that sent it to me, about Messi kind of hyping them up at halftime, which I think that's what was another thing too. It's just all of a sudden you saw him be a different type of player. It's almost like he cared a little bit more, which I guess maybe it just needed to be that the La Liga season needed to end, and they were just waiting for the resumption of the Champions League. Maybe this meant a lot more to the club, so it just definitely showed that they played that way. They did have a little bit of a mistake once Napoli scored. You could tell they were kind of breaking down a little bit, which is the only scary part, is that it seems like if the other team scores, the defense kind of starts to forget what they're supposed to be doing. But other than that, I mean, they were really dominating, and it was kind of refreshing to see them look that way, given that that's not how they looked during La Liga towards the end.
Well, as a newer fan of Barca and not really seeing how Messi interacts with the team, I know he is the team captain, and I wonder what kind of leadership he gives his team. So when I sent you that video, I'm like, oh wow, this is great. Like, he's a commanding leader, at least in the tunnel, that he was giving them that pep talk. But is that not normal for him to do? Sonny, you're shaking your head. So is this not normal? No,
that's very uncharacteristic of Lionel Messi. He's the type of player that has always led on the field, led by example. He that's not to say that he hasn't given pep talks to the squad before. He has. It's something that it reminds me almost in a way, and maybe it's a little bit fair, maybe it's a little bit unfair, of Kobe's evolution in his career, where early on Kobe was really a terrible off the court leader, right. And it wasn't until he became much older, and at the end of his prime, that he realized, okay, I need to light a fire into these dudes' asses if I'm going to get what I need to get, and that's kind of the parallel that I can draw to Messi now in his age, and where he is with Barcelona right now, and him kind of probably looking around and being like, yo, we haven't won this Champions League tournament in 5 years of my prime, and I'll be damned if we go out in this round to a Napoli team at home that we should be beating. Right. You know, so I think that's what that was. It was definitely uncharacteristic for the most part to see that. I like it. It's cool. Yeah. I think if he picks his spots, you know, that's great. But again, I try not to put too much stock into that win that they just had, because it was at the Camp Nou, where they have a great record in the Champions League, and that's never been a problem for them. The problem has always been when they go away from the Camp Nou and they face, you know, better quality opponents there. That's the problem.
And it was Napoli.
And it was Napoli, yeah. So this Friday, as you're listening to this in the morning, or it may have happened now if you're listening to this later on in the evening on Friday, Barca versus Bayern Munich there. So what do you think will happen in this match, Sonny? Do you like Barca's chances going into this match, it being a road game, as you mentioned? Do you think they have what it takes to come out with a win here?
Barca needs to get out of Bayern with a draw.
This is a one and done. There's no second leg.
Right. That's right. Oh, shit. Okay. And this changes things a little bit, because you play with a different type of urgency when you know it's a one game leg as opposed to a 2-game leg. Teams usually tend to be a little more defensive in the first leg of a 2-leg matchup. You don't have that luxury here. You kind of have to get after it, play your style against their style, and see who's better on the day. So with that being said, I mean, I guess I have to alter kind of what I was thinking, because I didn't like our chances in a 2-legged tie, but I feel like in a 1-legged tie, in just a one winner goes on, loser goes home match, I think I actually feel better, weirdly, about Barca's chances.
Nice.
Because you just don't know if Messi's going to have the magic that night, the extra magic. And that's just the one thing you can never account for. You could have the greatest team, but if Messi is on his game, good luck, you know? So we'll see. It's, and not to put it all on Messi's shoulders here, but he's the wild card in this situation. He's the game changer, you know, the thing that even as Bayern could be dominating the game throughout, right? Possession, but not finishing. Messi just needs one moment of brilliance to do damage. And that's always been, unfortunately, Barca's saving grace. And maybe they rely on that too much. But for one game, if you're going to rely on it, hey, if you got him, hopefully he delivers.
Wow. Hit their strength and their weakness.
Exactly.
Donald, what do you think the outcome will be here?
I mean, I am scared for Barca. Just because of how dominant Bayern looks right now recently. They won the Bundesliga. They took care of everything. And that's that they started in the Bundesliga. I think they were in 3rd place, like halfway through the season. They sack their manager. They get a new guy. And then this guy helps them go and take the title. Leipzig was actually 1st place. Dortmund was 2nd. So it kind of showed you that franchise knows how to turn it on, or like when to make a move when they need to. And the fact that they got rid of their manager mid-season, it was kind of weird, because it was like, dude, you guys are still a top flight club. It's not like it's not like you guys are out of the Champions League qualifications, and it's not like they were like it's not like they didn't beat their groups in the Champions League. They advanced, but it's almost like the owner or whoever's in charge of the front office just knew, like, there's a downward trend happening, and before it gets really bad, we need to switch it up. And they did, and it worked out. And they took the title from Germany against all the other clubs. And then they came into this knockout stage, and they killed Chelsea 7-1 in the aggregate. And given that, like, yes, the second leg for Chelsea, they already were out with a couple guys injured. Pulisic was out. So I guess because they went all in on the FA Cup final, which didn't even matter anyways because Arsenal took it. So, that was a good shout out to, Arsenal. And You know, that's
my squad. That's my squad.
When they won it, I was like, this is why they extended David Luiz, I guess. But you know, it was just kind of one of those things where like Bayern just is scary. I've seen them play when they go against Dortmund in their Klassiker, which is the German Classical. And yeah, they definitely had Dortmund's number. I mean, they're just really crazy aggressive when they come in. Alphonso Davies is the most impressive player I've seen on that squad. Lewandowski, their forward, is basically like their Messi. So he's a guy that I think Barca's defense just has to make sure they contain and restrain from being able to do what he does. Because I think in the last against Chelsea, he had 3 goals and 4 assists. So that tells you like how big of an impact he made. So as long as Barca takes care of him, I don't feel like Bayern has much going. And Alphonso Davies, he's like technically he was a forward when he was with Vancouver Whitecaps. Then they kind of, in Bayern, he's like a midfielder defender, which is interesting, but he does a good job. I mean, he hustles. So if they can somehow just kind of slow him down because he's young, I think Barca should be able to win it easily after that. But unless Barca doesn't do any of that, then it's going to be tough. I could see it being going back and forth with goals, you know, like 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, and, you know, basically the last one standing wins. So, wow. But yeah, it's a little scary for me when I see what Bayern did to Chelsea.
Donald with the hot take here is predicting the shootout match. I love it.
Well, you know, yeah. I watch John's Bundesliga blazing like that. So, I mean, you guys know I love Dortmund. They're like my German team. But yeah, it's crazy seeing how Bayern does their thing. It's insane.
Yeah, it's clockwork for Bayern, dude. Bayern it's a formality that they win the Bundesliga. It's not even, you know, that like, I'm not surprised that they fired their manager. That really wasn't a move about the Bundesliga, I don't think. I think it was actually
for
because
the
of the Champions League that they made.
That's what happened with Juve.
Exactly. It's just Bayern top to bottom. Their overall attacking line is better than Barca's attacking line. Their defense is way better than Barca's defense. The only advantage we have, and it's a slight one, is I would say goalkeeper. You know, the younger German over the legend.
Yeah.
Ter Stegen, I'd say at this point in their careers is better than Neuer. And then our midfield on paper is better than Bayern Munich's midfield. Although Thiago is a great midfielder. I mean, that's Barcelona roots right there. Mm-hmm. But I wish it was as easy as if you slow Lewandowski down, it should be easy, but it's not. That team has too many attacking options, and they play through the middle so well, and they can beat you on the outside wings. So that team is scary. That it's all going to rely on Barca's overall defense as a unit, how well they work together. Piqué, Lenglet, I'm assuming Semedo gets the call, and Jordi Alba, and we'll see. I'm curious. I mean, again, it being just one game, anything could happen. They could have an off night, and it's not necessarily that Barca was the better team, but for that night they were. I'll take it, you know. But I don't. If you were asking me to bet on this game, I'd have a hard time betting money on this game.
Once again, your head feels that Barca won't advance.
Correct, but my heart screaming for it. Yeah, my heart wants what it wants, man.
So before we wrap up this week's episode, we have to give everybody a sneak peek of the secondary podcast we're hoping to spin off, which is That's Not How Soccer Works. And while we were all watching this game, Barca versus Napoli, there was a controversial call. Do you recall what it was, Sonny?
I do. Yeah, well, there was a few controversial calls in this match.
And in our group, we have myself. I'm a newer football fan when it comes to the rules and, you know, focusing on how the style of play is done, especially European style. Yeah. So I'm curious to know, go ahead and give us a little sneak preview on that, one of those particular calls.
So there was one instance, for those of you who maybe hopefully watched the game, there was an instance where Messi... I forget the name, the player that had the ball for Napoli, but it was the defender. It was their left back. He was in their own box, right? The big penalty box, depending how new you are to this sport out there, you listeners. But he was in the penalty box. He was gearing up to clear the ball, basically through a pass. So he winds up, you know, he's about to make the pass, And right as he's about to do that, who sneaks in but the little pulga himself, the little flea.
The little goat leg came out of nowhere.
Yeah, the little flea right behind him, just ninja status, sticks his left foot in to basically toe poke or win the ball away, which then caused the Napoli defender to finish his follow through because he was already mid kick when Messi actually snuck in, and of course he ended up clipping Messi in the box. Messi foul, and it was deemed a penalty kick, right? Mm-hmm. And the discussion
penalty occurred in the penalty box,
exactly.
The penalty area.
Even though Messi technically didn't have possession per se, but he did take the ball away cleanly, as we would say in soccer, meaning he did not commit a foul of any sort while he toe poked that ball away from the defender. So as a result, it was a penalty, and I thought it was rightfully given. Now, the discussion or the debate happened, well, he got all ball. Why is this even a debate? And then that's when I chimed in with, well, that's not how soccer works. It's not quite all ball. And the way I would liken this, or the analogy I would use for people who maybe are familiar with other sports, is think of basketball, right? We all know that when a player goes up to shoot, right, and the defender actually jumps to block the ball and actually succeeds in just touching the ball, but happened to walk underneath the shooter at the same time, there's often times when the referee will call it a foul, a defensive foul, even though he got all ball on the block, right? So it's not always as simple as, well, he got all ball. How is that a foul? He got the block first. No, it's did he encroach his space and commit a foul while he was doing so? There are instances, for instance, that if Messi had slid tackle, in other words, tried to take the ball away through slide, and maybe his momentum took him through the player. He got all ball, but his momentum took him through the player, and the player ended up kicking him as a result of it. That would not be a penalty in my mind, or by the spirit of the rules, even though he got all ball. Because Messi did not slide, though, and he just kind of cleanly, like I said, like a ninja is the best way I could describe it. He just kind of poked the ball out at the last second. That's what made this a penalty call. I hope that makes sense. I promise we will we will better articulate this when we have a video element to our spin-off podcast, again called That's Not How Soccer Works, or That's How Soccer Works, title to be determined.
That's not how football works.
Yeah, that's not how football works. So yeah, that's just something we wanted to clarify for folks out there who, like yourself, who, and I appreciate it, who were just kind of like, can you elaborate, please? Like, why would that not always be a penalty? So,
and I think that's what's important too about this game of football here, that it's simplistic in the sense where like the ball goes into the net. That's how you score. That's how you get a goal. That's how you get a goal. That's how you get a point. And you obviously have to get more than the other team. But there's so many nuances, like in every sport, as far as rules go, as far as clarity of said rules in this sense, because you see any kind of contact and you think, well, that has to be legal. Like, well, how did the contact occur, though? Was there a clear challenge? I mean, one that I find very interesting always is the follow through on contact. Like what you're allowed to get away with on certain calls and when they're not being made. And obviously, when you throw VAR into the mix and then you have the play-by-play guys influencing your decision on, well, that's definitely going to get overturned because of this and that. And then the ref comes back and says it stands. Yeah. And it's like, well, wait, what the hell's going on here? Yeah. Like, is it clear and obvious? Sports have such funny rules and interpretations. It just tells you that football is like any other sport around the world. It's going to be open to interpretation.
Yeah, absolutely. And soccer is not, or football is not anemic or allergic to the controversy that is video replay, just like you said in any other sport. It's so much easier to make the call as fans when we see everything slowed down, 60%, 70%.
Right. But it's also, we don't see those angles that the VAR is looking at. I think it might have been the MLS bubble, or it might have been the USL bubble. I'm sorry, the WSL bubble, where when they would go into the VAR, we would hear the refs talking back and forth.
Right.
And that's great. That's what you want, transparency. It's like, we're looking at this angle. We're looking at his shoulder. We're looking at his elbow here. All right, do you see that? Yeah, that's an offside. All right, call offside. So that's what we want, as especially now that it's being produced like a TV show production. Yeah. We should be taken into those elements. So that way we could get a better understanding of how these rules are interpreted and they're therefore executed out there for the field.
The last thing I'll say before you sign off, I think as fans sometimes, it's one of those things that I think had you had the benefit of playing the sport, just like any sport, you'll understand the laws or the rules of the game that much better, because when you have a referee telling you just committed a foul, you're like, wait, me? What? How did I commit a foul? And then that's how you start learning, right? Like you start learning, like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that, Yeah. Whereas to when you're watching something on TV sometimes and you're explained how these on paper, how these laws or rules are supposed to be governed, you're like, well, what he just said contradicts what this rule says. So it gets dicey. There's the law and then there's the spirit of the law, which are two different things. So that's and we all know that supersedes sports into the real world. So we have to be careful when we get into that aspect of it. And I love to when the professionals are seeing that, when you just use your analogy, like, foul me, what? I love even professionals are caught up in that as well. Exactly.
And if you really want to learn the rules and the style of play for football, pick up FIFA 20. There you go. That's a good. That's how I got into NHL. Just so you know, full disclosure here. That's what got me into hockey. It was playing NHL '95, I believe it was. It was a few years old, obviously, because it was, with sports titles, you got to get a couple years older. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So that's the way to do it. So maybe you can pick up FIFA 17 or something. That way you can learn the rules. So that's going to wrap it up for us this week. Thank you again to Sonny Amato for joining us. Check out his podcast, The Fox Crate Podcast. Follow him on Instagram at The Fox Crate. Next week, we'll have more MLB, NBA, and Champions League coverage for you. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WestBoxScore. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast downloaded. See ya.
Peace.
Later.